It is my honor to announce that the 2024 Heisman Award goes to...
Welcome to the official Heisman Trophy podcast.
Chuck Conrad with a kickoff. Roy has a strong leg, end over end. Sanders takes it 1 yard deep in the end zone. Up the middle, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. He's at the 40, he's at 45, 50, 40, 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 50, 10, 5, touchdown, out. Just like last year, a same
And the winner is
Travis Hunter.
And there you have it, folks. The 2024 Heisman Trophy winner, Travis Hunter of Colorado. The sports world's most prestigious individual trophy goes to an extremely talented and versatile player who played on both sides of the ball. The first time this had happened since the early 60s, Ernie Davis, the 1961 Heisman Trophy winner to be exact. And he's the first player to win the Heisman while playing significant minutes on either side since Charles Woodson won the award in 1997 while primarily playing corner, but while also playing wide receiver. And this is Colorado's second Heisman Trophy, coming on the 30th anniversary of the late, great Rashaan Salam's win in 1994. And the Heisman weekend is a magnificent whirlwind for the participants, and Travis Hunter, of course, after winning the Heisman, went out and had a great time in New York City. We caught up to him very briefly the next morning.
All right, Travis, can you give me a couple words to describe the celebration with your teammates last night?
It was fun, exciting, and, we had a great time, being able to have those guys come out here and they helped me get closer to my goals. They helped me achieve my goals, so it was definitely special.
How many guys did you have last night?
I can't recall, but I know it was a good amount of my team.
Any surprising faces you see last night?
No, not really. All the people that I was expecting to come came.
Okay. Can you give me a few more words to describe the moment you heard your name announced last night? I saw you kind of pause, you put your head down in your hands, and you went to Dion and your family and everybody. What was it like?
Yeah, I was just thanking God, being thankful. It's always key, my belief is strong, so I definitely was just being thankful to God first.
When you think about last night when you're older, what do you think you'll reflect on?
It's just a great moment, a milestone in my life. It's always going to be there.
I'm sure your phone has blown up to a ridiculous degree. Have you got congratulations from any unexpected places?
Nah, all the people, they reached out before that I have been talking to, so it's definitely not unexpected.
All right. What Heisman members have you really appreciated meeting so far this weekend?
All of them. I can't pick out any, that's kind of selfish, I was excited to meet everybody, and I'm excited for them to accept me with open arms.
Okay, and then moving forward, are you excited to get back to work now with your team after today?
Yeah, definitely excited to get back to work. I got one more game to play in college, so I'm making the best game.
We've got a lot more great content from Heisman Weekend. All four of the finalists we talked to on Saturday. Also, 1995 Heisman Trophy winner from The Ohio State University, Eddie George, joined us. And then did you know that the Heisman Trophy now has an official timepiece? John Canaris of Axia Time Watches is going to come on the show and talk about this great new watch, Heisman branded and presented to the four finalists on Friday night before the ceremony. We're going to talk to him a little bit later. And then piggybacking on top of that is Jonathan V. Last, editor of The Bulwark, who is also a watch aficionado, who's going to tell us briefly what makes a great watch. So we'll get to all of that after this brief message.
Hey guys, this is Barry Sanders, the 1988 Heisman Trophy winner, and you are listening to the official Heisman Trophy podcast.
Did you know that the Heisman Trophy Trust has donated more than $20 million to a huge variety of charity-based groups via its Heisman Trophy Fund for Youth Development? That's right, the fund has helped countless charitable organizations that uses sports to engage underprivileged young people in educational activities. If you are part of an organization or know of one that would like to apply for funding, visit Heisman.com and click on the charities link at the top of the site. So once again, we sat down with all four of the Heisman Trophy finalists on Saturday morning, the day of the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and here's what they had to say. Travis Hunter, University of Colorado, 2024 Heisman Trophy finalist. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thought you was about to say winner for a second.
Almost. Not yet. Do you have your speech ready?
No.
Nope.
I definitely don't have a speech ready. You know,
You gonna wing it?
Yeah, I'm gonna go off the top of the dome.
There's two philosophies. Some people have a little bit, and some people just go out there. And, in everyone's
prepared.
experience, from what I've talked to with the Heisman winners, you kind of have your plan, you go up there, and then that moment happens.
And then no
And
plan.
then it's like, uh-oh.
No plan.
Yeah. Are you a pretty emotional guy? Do you think it might be tough to collect yourself?
No,
Your thoughts?
I don't think it's gonna be tough to collect myself until after the fact, until everything is done. So
Yeah. Anyway, so congratulations on being a finalist. What was it like finding out that you were going to be coming here officially?
it didn't feel real to me. Until I got on the flight to come here, when it hit me.
Yeah. For the Heisman Trophy, for someone growing up playing football, is the Heisman Trophy something that looms out there as a goal? Is that something that people think about playing football? Did you think about that growing up?
Not growing up. I can't sit here and lie and tell you like, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna go straight to college and be a Heisman finalist. I can't tell you that I dreamed of it either. I was just playing a video game with my cousin, this recent moment. Well, not this recent moment, but like moments back then. We out there try to get the main trophy, which was the Heisman Trophy on the video game. And now that seeing me here, it's like, oh, dang, I actually might have did envision me going to get it. We had created players and stuff, trying to make them the best on each team and trying to win that trophy. So going back and seeing that moment, it's like, oh, this whole time I'm doing that, I'm going to be the person sitting there trying to win the trophy.
Yeah. Going into this year, did you have this though as a goal for this year? Did you think you had a chance to do it if you could, put production on both sides of the ball?
I definitely thought I could have production, going to get it, but I didn't have it on my main goal list. I try to make my goals as simple so I can far reach them. So I put it on there. I wanted 1,200 yards. I fell short of that, but I wanted also 12 touchdowns, and I got 14, and I have 15 total touchdowns, but 14 receiving. I wanted 6 interceptions. I ended up with 4.
Yeah.
So, I have my goals like that, and I touch them every day. I still touch them. The seasons, I have one more game, so I still have one more chance to, reach that for the whole season. But I definitely touch my goal sheet every day. I didn't have the Heisman Trophy winner on there, and I didn't have no personal awards. I just wanted my team to win.
Right. One thing I'm really curious about is playing the two positions you play. Cornerback, you're backpedaling. Receiver, you're going forward. What kind of stress is that on your legs and your muscle memory? Like, how did you develop that ability to adjust? Because I used to know these track guys, and they'd run track and then they play corner, and it was such a huge adjustment to sprinting forward to backpedaling. A lot of times it would just be a lot of tear on the knees, on everything.
Nah, I do a lot. I do a lot of recovery. The recovery helped me out a lot. I go to the training room, get treatment. Then I go do my stuff outside of the training room and treatment. It take time, but you got to be invested into it, and you got to be willing to get to your next goal. So you got to accomplish everything that's in your way. You got to face everything that's in your way, face adversity. Sometimes I do get little nicks and tears, but, I still fight through it.
If you had to choose one, like if the NFL said you got to play one, which one would you rather play?
Whichever one helps the team.
Yeah. So you've had a remarkable season. What is like the one moment in the year that really stands out for you?
The Baylor game, me forcing that fumble, it's a key factor in my career and in my life.
Mm-hmm. You started, you have your own podcast, you do on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
How did all that come about? When did you guys come up with that idea of doing something?
I played a video game already, so it's like, why not I just go ahead and start a stream and let people see what I do already? I do it for free. Why not get paid to do it?
Right.
I definitely started Twitch and started doing that, and then YouTube. Like, everybody want to see what I'm doing outside of football, but as well on the football field, and like what I do leading up to the game. So it's like, okay, let me start my YouTube. Let me do that for YouTube, and it just took off from there.
What's your experience been like in New York City since you've arrived? What was it like meeting all those Heisman winners last night at the welcome ceremony, and going out with Holly to various spots in the city? What's it been like?
It's been very good. I got to meet a lot of people that I never thought I'd meet in my life once again, because I didn't think I would be here. Just working hard. It got me here, so I didn't think I would be here. But yeah, it's been good. The moment in New York is cold, so I can't really tell you how I feel about that. It's freezing outside, but it looks nice at night. I went out to a food truck last night, got me something to eat. So definitely trying to take in the whole moment.
Do you have a plan if you do win tonight? You guys going to paint the town red? Were you going to go out somewhere? You got some plans in mind?
So I have a couple of my teammates coming in. So I put them on a plane so they can come in and celebrate with me. So I'm going to go over there and celebrate with the guys.
You're engaged. You're going to be married in May. Is that still on?
Yes, sir.
How's that planning go? Where you guys going to get married?
We're far too ahead. We already, we have nothing to do right now, but go look at the venue and check out the space that we're using.
Yeah, you got a big wedding?
Yeah, gonna be a big wedding. Like I said, I was very blessed to have, coaches in my life and players, a brotherhood that I've been able to build over the years. So I definitely got to invite all the guys.
Yeah. What did you learn from your coach, Coach Sanders, about playing the position you play, at least on the defensive side of the ball?
I learned a lot, but I can't tell you one particular detail that he has told me. Just going out there working, you don't want to let him down. So everything that he tell you, it sticks with you. So, he watches us warm up every day. He always tell us, stay low. Yeah. It's stuff like that stays with you. Like, it's a part of the muscle memory because once he look, you already know what he's going to say. So you already do it before he even get it out.
Yeah. After you finish your NFL career, it sounds like you could be someone who could go and do TV, all this stuff. You already experience. You probably experience as anybody. Like you're asking questions of people. Actually, I'm curious about that. Being someone who interviews people, do you find it hard to come up with good questions?
No, I don't find it hard. I just, like I said, you got like notes and stuff. I don't need notes. I just go out there, not throwing no shade at you, but
no.
I don't need notes. I can think of stuff on the fly, on the roll.
Sure.
I don't like when people show me the questions because I want to be able to be prepared and to answer the questions without looking at them.
Yeah. You got a great watch last night from Axia Time. What was that like, just coming in and having this cool bit of swag that kind of commemorates your weekend?
It's nice. I'm never going to wear it just because I want to put it on. I wanted it all to be set up with the Heisman Trophy if I win it. Yeah. And even if I don't win it, I still wanted to be set up in a moment of what happened in my career, my last year of college. So I'm thankful that they gave it to me. It's another thing to add to the pile.
Yeah, put up on the mantle with all the other trophies and stuff. Yeah, got to put
a mantle with everything. How the jerseys and all the swag that I wear this year, everything in the background in my game room.
Yeah. Alamo Bowl, BYU in 2 weeks. What's preparation going to be like for that? You guys have a little bit of layoff here. What's the attitude of the team going into that game?
Win. That's our attitude, is to win, play Colorado football. But, preparation haven't been, just next week will be 2 weeks away. Now, it's been preparation since we knew that we was going to play in a bowl game. So we've been, most of the guys, I could say, been working and ready to go play.
Yeah. You ready to get back and get back to work?
Yeah, I've been ready. Get back to work. I've been working the whole time. So
That's true. Well, Travis Hunter, thanks so much for coming on the official Heisman Trophy podcast. Good luck tonight.
Yes, sir.
Savor it, enjoy it, and good luck in the future.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're here with Ashton Jeanty, 2024 Heisman Trophy finalist. Congratulations, Ashton, on making it to New York.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I remember you were on, I think, the third week of the season. We had you on the show. It's great to have you back. I remember you said that you had a bet that if you got 2,000 yards, you had to cut off your dreads. Are you? When are you going to do that? Have you set the appointment yet?
Well, so it's been a little while, but really right after that, we had switched the bet around. So I switched it, in my favor, because I knew I was going to rush for 2,000.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I don't rush for 2,000, then I got to cut my locks off. So that's why I still got them on right now.
Well, it's kind of like Samson, right? It's like your source of your strength.
Got to keep them, man.
Yeah. So what's the experience been like coming to New York? I know you're getting asked a million questions. It's probably a whirlwind, but in your quiet times, have you sat back and just reflected on everything?
Yeah, it's been a great experience, especially for my family to be here and, just taking the whole moment with me. It's been amazing. Obviously, a lot going on, a lot of interviews, a lot of everything, but, that's kind of how my life is on the regular.
Yeah.
But I'm able to appreciate being here. I've been here a few different times, but, this is a real special moment. This time, it hits different.
Yeah.
But it's just been great. So, in my free time, I've definitely just, thought about the whole experience and just been so thankful that I'm here.
Yeah. What's some of the highlights so far on this? It's only been one night so far, but what did you guys do last night?
I'm trying to remember. We did so much. Or last night, we had dinner and like kind of the welcome party, I guess you could say.
Yeah, welcome reception.
Welcome reception. So meeting all the former Heisman winners, meeting Tim Tebow, Archie Griffin, Eddie George, all those different guys, and getting to actually talk to them and get to know them more on a personal level. I think that's been the coolest part.
Were the running backs especially eager to meet you? I know Archie, I talked to him last week, and he was definitely excited about you because he's smaller back like you, and he was just really talking you up when I talked to him.
Yeah, they were definitely excited to meet and talk. And me personally, I wanted to meet with all the running backs that I could, just because there hasn't been very many of us here, let alone to win.
Yeah, you're the only player here who is at his original school. And one thing I've noticed is you haven't been shy about wearing your Boise State gear. You came in yesterday and you had your Boise State sweats on. What's it mean for just the school and the community? There has been a previous Heisman finalist in Kellen Moore, and you're right here. And what's it mean for you and the school?
Yeah, I think it means a lot, especially, just in the the way college football is right now. A lot of players. Nothing against the other finalists, because everybody's story, everybody's path is different. But especially for me, everybody who was in, a lot of people who were in my position, if they were actually in that, they would have left and, took the money bag, bigger school, all that type hype.
Yeah.
But, for me to stay, and obviously outside looking in, a lot of people are like, what? Like, why would he do that? But this is exactly why I stayed, to help bring Boise State back to where it used to be, put Boise State back on the map. Obviously, it's been a little bit, of time since Boise State's been, dominant like this.
Sure.
And really when they were, it wasn't as much, media and attention on them, so to be the guy in this era to help them do that, I think it's just a blessing. And obviously I'm going to rep my school because, they're the ones who believed in me and, gave me an opportunity, and that's why I'm here today.
Yeah, one thing I wondered about like this era is where do you, like, if you're one of the other players, you've been to 3 schools, like 30 years from now, which reunion are you going to?
I feel like you just got to go to school you ended your career off at,
Right.
I guess. I don't even know, honestly.
Right. Well, you probably won't have to buy a meal in Boise State, in Boise again, the rest of your life. That's for sure. Do you have your speech ready for tonight?
Yeah, I do have it ready. I was actually practicing it last night.
Oh yeah, nice. Or what about your suit? Do you have a special suit for tonight?
Yeah, real special suit. Can't give away too many details. Y'all see tonight.
Yeah. You one of the great bits of swag that they give out. You got a great watch from Axia Time. I got it right here. Dude, what did you think? Are you a watch guy? When you got this watch, do you think that this will be an heirloom for you and your family?
Yeah. I didn't think about it quite like that until he said it, but I've gotten into watches more recently, as I've gotten a little older, I guess you could say. Just turned 21, nice. So I honestly, I could see it being something like that, just because this is such a special moment, and, if one of my kids plays sports and, it's kind of time to pass the torch, and, give them something, special or something always to remember you by. I think it was a cool piece, or, just something to have.
What was the most memorable moment of this season? It's been a special season, almost 2,500 yards rushing, 29 rushing touchdowns, just one of the most dominant seasons for a running back in history. The second leading rusher in this nation was like 600 or 800 yards, like a ridiculous amount of yards behind you. You could have just given him your extra yards, and he, still wouldn't have come close. So what was like the big moment for you this year?
Winning the conference championship, because that was it was everything we wanted. All the work we put in during the season, and then obviously, to get in the college football playoffs. That was probably one of the biggest games in Boise State history.
Yeah.
So to go out there and dominate like we did, The energy in the stadium was crazy. And then, the fans rushing the field after the game. It was it was crazy, man. It was amazing.
You have the winner of SMU and Penn State coming up in the Fiesta Bowl in a couple weeks. If you had your choice, do you care who you play, or is it affecting how you guys are preparing?
Yeah, we're preparing for both teams because that's just the best thing to do. But honestly, we don't care who we play. Coach D says it all the time: put the ball down. So whoever wins and plays us, we're ready for them.
And if you win the Heisman Trophy, what do you plan on doing afterwards? Are you just gonna go paint the town red, or?
Yeah, I've heard there's a lot of crazy stories of after people win the Heisman, but so I already got it planned. If I win, me and my family, even whether I win or not, we're gonna go out and celebrate. So my family's Haitian, so there's a very nice Haitian restaurant, and they're gonna keep it open late for us. Eat some food, play some music.
Awesome. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Enjoy the night, and then I got to go around Times Square for a little bit. Just take it all in. You know?
What's like the typical Haitian meal? Like, what's like the great Haitian meal that people eat when it's Haitian?
Yeah. So it would be rice and beans, fried plantain. We call it bon peze, and then griot, which is just fried pork.
Yeah. Do you speak any French or the Haitian French at all?
And not too much. I've actually been trying to learn it, obviously because I was born in the U.S., but, I got a lot of family members who speak it fluently, so I've made it a goal of mine to learn it real soon, so whenever I go back over there, I can speak it fluently.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I only know a few words.
Right. Cool. Just like you'll have a little bit of Italian left from your time in Italy.
Just a little bit,
A little bit. Very good. Well, Ashton Genty, congratulations on a remarkable season. Thanks for coming on the show again, and have a great time tonight. Just soak it up. Have the best, just try to take it all in, and it's something you're going to remember forever, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dylan Gabriel, University of Oregon. Welcome to the official Heisman Trophy podcast.
Thank you so much. It's going to be fun.
Congratulations on being named a Heisman finalist. What was it like finding out that you were one of the 4 finalists coming to New York City?
Yeah, I found out in the car in Vegas at the Campbell Awards show, and it was a big smile on my face knowing that I'm representing a bunch of great guys and the year we've had thus far. Yeah. So it was special, and it's a special time, so I don't take it lightly. And the connections you can make and the people you meet along the way is special.
Was that something you had as a goal in mind, getting to New York at least during before the season started?
It wasn't necessarily a goal because my goals I think were built a little differently. But knowing, if I accomplish my goals and do it the right way, you'll sit right where you need to be. And I was confident in that. And you look, I was focused on winning, and I'm right where I should be. So I think more importantly, you just appreciate, the journey and not what you get from it, but who you become and how it sets you up for the future.
You haven't been in Eugene that long. How has it been living in Oregon versus living in Norman and Orlando?
Super different. I think Orlando was most alike Hawaii and the tropical. That's why I think as a high schooler, I definitely picked there. At least it was a part of why I picked there. And then, I think in Oklahoma, gosh, that thing can go from 80 to 20 degrees within a short amount of time. So that weather was probably like the most culture shock. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to Eugene, it's just like always pretty consistent. Yeah. It's like in that 40, 60 range.
Right.
There may be some drizzle in the winters and spring, but summers are beautiful. So you appreciate all the differences, but I do miss that warm, sunny days.
Yeah. What about the fan bases? Very, all kind of pretty intense in their own ways. What are the differences in those 3 fan bases?
I would say UCF and Oregon are the most similar in terms of, used to innovation. Innovation's kind of the culture. Mm-hmm. So new things excite them. Yeah. And fans love, football. So I would say those two were pretty similar. And I think Oklahoma was interesting. You know, it was like historic, and the history is what, you know, people still pride themselves on. And, you know, it is a little old school in that sense,
Sure.
but great people as well. But definitely, you know, two different environments, I would say.
Sure. I heard you talking to Cam Ward when in the reception yesterday. You were talking about the Big 12
Yep.
and their styles. I wanted to ask you about, like, you were in the AAC, Big 12, now the Big 10, but Oregon is always, you know, is formerly a Pac-12 team,
Yep.
and it's always been, like you talked about, innovative in offense. And you know, Scott Frost wasn't your coach, but Heupel was,
Yep.
and he kind of took over the same kind of style, which, you know, Frost had at Oregon, so there's a connection there. What was the difference, like in the just the offensive schemes that you took part in and that you saw, you know, in those in the three conferences?
Yeah, I was saying in the AAC and the Big 12, I think I've truly been around the most creative coaches, and that's playing with or playing against.
Yeah.
And that's offensively and defensively.
Sure.
So, and that's because they've had to evolve, right, with all these things that people are doing nowadays. But I would say that was definitely, you know, creatively the most unique, you know, schemes I've been around and seen. And I think the Big Ten was probably like the most NFL ready in terms of scheme and, you know, thought process. So thank goodness it's towards the back end, so
Right.
I can, you know, learn that and grow in that way. But I think you take those experiences from when you're younger and, you know, how to conceptualize different concepts and how to, you know, think outside the box, which I love because, you know, a guy we watch, shout out Dan Casey, you know, he's always obsessed with these new schemes and the execution of it. And, you know, people, you know, try to, you know, replicate certain plays or have their own little twist, which, you know, makes it unique.
Oregon's one of the schools. There's a few other schools that really rely on the portal a lot. And I'm curious, like, from an offensive standpoint, offenses generally need more time to grow together, and as opposed to defenses where it's schemes a little bit easier to, you know, to pick up, whereas offense is a little more complex, right? So when you have new guys in your offense, like say you got whatever 5 different new guys who've come from another school, is it hard to create that level of continuity and cohesion that you have with an offense? And does it take like a process over the course of a year kind of thing?
That's why I believe football's been the way it's been. You know, it's tough.
Yeah.
You know, and defensive players and defenses in general have been better because, you know, there is a you know, disconnect on offense, and like it's true, and it's a lot more evident now because of all the change.
There's been a drop in offensive production, hasn't there, the last few years? Just because of this.
And it's been so much more competitive.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the best, it's the, you know, the combination of the best players playing at all levels. You know, so if that top program has good players behind, they're going to go play somewhere right away.
Right.
So the best players are playing all across college football. And then 2, there's a disconnect between players.
Sure.
You know, and that's why if you fight for connection, you can have success.
Right.
Because, and it has to be at the forefront because now people are having 30, 40 player overhauls. And, you know, you have to make it your own. You know, each year's its own DNA, and how do you make that team your own? So I think coaches are having challenges with that. Definitely players, like right when I got to Oklahoma, we didn't have a great year.
Yeah.
And then that year 2, you see a team that a lot of people came back.
Right.
So the continuity's there, the you know, like the confidence in scheme, the familiarity with players. So there's a lot that goes with it, but more than anything, I think this is going to just prepare us for the NFL.
For sure. Yeah. It's because it's become more like the NFL in that regard, right? Yeah. I was always curious about how you seem to have really thought about this whole thing.
For
right?
sure.
And I guess being at 3 different places, you've had to deal with, like, you probably have to, as the quarterback, you look to as a leader, so you've got to like get everybody together. And
little personal self-scout. You know, how do you get better from stop to stop? You know, how does my routine improve? How do I become a better leader?
Yeah.
You know, because the leader I was in 2019 can't be the leader I am now in 2024. And that's not just because of personal growth and evolution.
It was a different sport back then.
It is. It is completely different.
That's so fascinating. You came out of Mililani, Hawaii. only one other Heisman winner came out of Hawaii, Marcus Mariota, who's in his 10th anniversary here for the Heisman. He's not coming here this weekend because he's got to play in the NFL. What kind of impact did him winning the Heisman have on guys like yourself playing in Hawaii, whether youth football or high school? It's a big thing?
Yeah, he was definitely the trailblazer at the quarterback position. You know, I think we've, as athletes, you know, had like Manti, DeForest Buckner, right? All these players, and there's more I'm forgetting, but now when you see a quarterback just like you do it, you know, that's a direct impact to a quarterback. Sure. And more than just myself, he motivated and inspired so many, you know, athletes. Yeah. Because of how he did what he did, you know, and he was a great example of that. And that's more than just the sport of football. So we appreciate him. And I think at a young age, I look at him and see a guy who's took advantage of his opportunity, you know, and born and raised in Hawaii, just like me. Yeah. Plays the quarterback position, went to Oregon. How special is it now? You know, I'm wearing the number 8, 10 years later, playing at Oregon in Autzen.
Amazing. Yeah.
Things that you used to watch. So as a kid, my heart's smiling. But, you know, I've appreciated that this whole, you know, time for sure.
Have you been able to forge any kind of relationship with Marcus at all? Or?
I have. We're very close. And, you know, he's a mentor. He's a guy that, you know, I reach out when needed. Right. But, he's also a guy that just lets you do what you do. And if you have anything, he always says, hey, I'm always here. Yeah. And I think just knowing that allows you to, you know, be free of like, hey, if I have a question or anything, and I know our moms definitely text back and forth for
nice.
Sure. So,
well, you're about halfway through Heisman weekend. You have the Friday and then now the Saturday coming up. It's kind of a whirlwind. You're getting asked a million questions. Probably tired of answering a lot of them.
No, I love it. I love this part of it.
Yeah?
I love this part of it.
Well, that's great. Well, I was hoping to ask you some stuff that a lot of people, you know, don't ask you about.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, no, I think we've already done a lot of it. I think talking about but I wanted to ask you, what's been the highlight so far?
Well, I'll say this, and I can keep it off the record because, you know, it's what we talked about. Yeah. Last night, you know, I'm not shy. I hit up Cam Newton. I'm like, hey, bro, like, can we connect? Whatever. I'm like, have me on the pod, right? 4th and 1.
Sure.
We got lost in communication. He thought I had my own pod. Anywho, we didn't end up having a podcast, but we sat there and I remember getting there at like 10 or 11. And then I look up, I'm like, dang, I need to go to sleep. Yeah. You know, but we sat there for 4 or 5 hours just talking. And
amazing.
And you appreciate that because there's, you know, he said it best. There's, you know, when you're around him, there's questions that you don't even think you'd ask, and just being around him, you get to ask that. So I appreciate that, and what a great conversation. Yeah. What a great time to have, and just a great human being. Yeah. And he's got so much knowledge that he wants to share, you know, but are you asking the right questions? And yeah, we had a blast.
Actually, one thing I do want to ask you is going to 3 schools. So 30 years from now, when you're doing your reunion, I mean, you pop into all 3 of them, or
I love that
how does
you
that
said
work?
that. No, nobody even said that, but gosh, that's a great question. I initially, when I was at, you know, UCF, I'm like, Mom, like, and making the decision to transfer, I'm like, Mom, I want to be able to bring my kids back. You know, I do, and this is hypocritical a little bit, but I did want to stay at one spot, you know, and it be my home, but you know, I thought, how cool is it? Now I get to go to 3 different spots and all the connections and friends I have. It's like, now I can take the wife and kids to, you know, Orlando, Norman, and Eugene, and we'll just make our way back.
3 different networks that you can draw from as well, 100%, right?
100%.
Yeah. We got the ceremony coming up tonight. You're going to be on live TV in front of millions. You're used to playing in front of millions with your helmet on, kind of, you know, amongst your whole team, a little bit more anonymous, but now it's going to be big spotlight, TV show. You're probably going to have a rehearsal here in a little bit to go over there and figure out what you're going to do. Are you nervous about tonight at all?
I'm built for it. You know, I'm confident because of my preparation, who I am. You know, when the lights come on, I'm the same guy when the lights turn off. So I ain't got to be anyone I'm not. And, that gives me extreme confidence of embracing the moment, loving every second of it. And, you know, however this thing goes, I'm representing my team. Yeah. You know, and that's with great honor. I love those guys and know how much time and effort we put into this thing. So I'm going to smile. I'm going to have a good time. And, you know, Dan Dan Fitzpatrick was giving me a hard time yesterday, but he's a funny old man.
You've got the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. You've already played Ohio State. What's your preference to play? I mean, you want to play the team, you've already prepared for once, or, do you want somebody fresh, maybe who's not as prepared for you? What's the philosophy on that as you guys get ready?
There's so many pros and cons to both, and I think you could root for a team or like, hey, I want to play this team, but what'll be will be. And I think having a great plan for both, and then once we find out, attacking that, regardless, we're going to play a good team. So that's what we do know. So it's win or go home, and the stakes are high, but you love that.
Yeah.
As a competitor, you love that, part of it. So sure. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to January 1, history in the Rose Bowl.
Have you played there before?
I did against UCLA this year.
Oh, that's right.
So we do have a taste. It's a bit home to us. So we're excited. Like, who wouldn't want to play in that moment?
For sure. You got this great watch from Axia Time last night. The Heisman, they give a lot of swag, but in my years of coming to the Heisman, that's the coolest thing that any of the finalists have gotten. Well, what do you think about getting such a cool watch, which is really like, as you step out into your professional career, it's like a good, like, coming out present to like just have as you like growing up, right? You got a real watch now.
For sure. I think it's super cool. And I think the presentation of it, I think you appreciate, the journey, the experience, and that's a item that you can look back on and you just appreciate because you can tell a story, and remember. I feel like items now to me are stories.
Sure.
And this is a huge part of, my whole story. So I'm excited, and, I'll definitely be rocking it, but that might have to be one that, stays on the trophy case for the family. Yeah.
It seems like you put a lot of thought into everything you do after your playing career is over. What are you planning on doing? It sounds like you'd be a great broadcaster, communicator, some kind of thing. Is that something in the back of your head one day?
Never say never. I take pride in how I communicate, and it's not about presenting myself in that way. It's just being authentic to who I am. And like I said, confidence is huge, and playing the quarterback position, you got to have it.
Yep.
Because if you don't, how are you going to convince, 10 others to believe in you?
Sure.
When the game's on the line. So that sense of belief, that self-confidence is important to me. And like I said, I'll never say never.
Right.
We'll see what happens. And I kind of like the unknown.
Right.
I've gotten more comfortable with not knowing what's going to happen in the future because, I'm here's to say this. I've been trying to adopt this mentality. Tomorrow's not real. It's fictional.
Sure. Only the present, right?
And it's so, easy to say. We're like, oh, dude, but once you truly adopt it, you maximize the day.
Right.
And people are like, hey, do you want to do this? And I'm like, gosh, I don't know if I'll do it tomorrow.
Do you break down your day into smaller moments and then break that down into smaller moments?
I do.
Yeah.
And the routine to me is huge, and but if I can't do it tomorrow, right? And it's something like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to do it today. I'm going to figure it out.
Right.
Like, how can I walk away from a conversation with Cam?
Yeah.
I'm going to sit in that moment,
awesome.
And I'm embracing and enjoy it because all that knowledge, or if I get to enjoy this podcast with you, what if these are my last words? I don't know. Right.
Great point. Great point. Very
I want to
philosophical.
leave a long lasting impact and give everything I got. And I think that's because, I'm self-aware of what I want. I got a clear vision of what I want to do, what I want to accomplish. So I'm just full steam ahead.
For sure. We're hoping to have you on during the year. We're glad we finally did get you on. It was worth the wait. Good luck tonight. Good luck against whoever you play in the bowl game. And, best of luck in the future. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
All right. Cam Ward, University of Miami. Welcome back to the official Heisman Trophy podcast. You were on last year at Washington State. Congratulations on being a 2024 Heisman finalist.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So what was it like when you found out that you were one of the 4 chosen to come to New York? Did you have were you watching the show? Did you expect to be named?
Yeah, I did expect to be named. All the plays, that I made this year. I was watching it on the Monday Night Countdown. That's when I found out. So, it was exciting to, be up here especially with 3 other good players. So, I'm just excited to get it going.
Yeah. What's your experience been like so far?
It's been good. Seeing the city, getting a chance to chill with Holly Rowe. She's a funny person, so I get a chance to meet some of the other Heisman winners. So I just been soaking in the moment, and it's been a dream come true.
Who have you met so far of the past winners?
Got a chance to meet Eddie George, RG3, Gino. I've been met, but those are I can't remember the others' names.
George Rogers, maybe. I think you.
I
might
did
have met
meet
him.
George Rogers.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What about the other finals? Had you met any of them before?
Travis, I met before. We met at Pac-12 Media Day 2 years ago, but it's my first time meeting Dylan and Ashton.
You and Travis both started out in the FCS. And I remember you telling me last time on the show when I asked you about the difference between FCS and the FBS, and you said the skill players are pretty much the same. It's just mainly in the lines.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of amazing that both you guys started out the FCS, went through your different routes, and now you're here in New York.
Yeah, it's been amazing. There's no real difference from FCS to FBS. I would really say the biggest one, exposure now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it's, you have to stress to get to FBS so much now for that exposure.
Yeah.
But, it's been exciting, especially, players like Travis, too, who started FCS, work his way up. You really put yourself in a position to make football plays, and that's the biggest thing is getting on the field.
You went from West Columbia, Texas, I believe, to Pullman. At first Incarnate Word, and then to Pullman, and now to Miami. Huge culture shock. What was the culture shock like going from Pullman all the way down to South Florida?
It's way better. It's way better. Get to be back in some, sun, just like back in Texas. Food's good down there. So it's been way better down here. And just Coach Cristobal and the team, what we got going on, for now and what they'll have in the future, it'll be good. And I just think coming to Miami, it just benefit a lot of people, not only myself, just what we're able to do this year. My teammates, what they were able to do individually, also myself. So, it's been nice. It's been fun to have this year.
Is it harder to focus on football in a place like Miami as opposed to a place like Pullman where there's just more distractions and more fun things to do?
I actually found it easier to focus in Miami. Just gotta have a routine. You gotta stick to it. And I'll say that's the biggest thing. Don't really, and like where the school is, we're not really in like downtown. We really in a little neighborhood, so it's easy to stay locked in.
How well did you get to know Miami and its tradition and its past heritage of players in the very short period of time you're there? Was it a crash course and all that kind of stuff?
Not really. I got a chance to know a little bit. I don't know everything. I only real piece of history I have was watching the documentaries, all that, meeting Michael Irvin, Gino, all the other old heads. So
yeah,
it was good to meet those guys. They caught me up a little bit. But at the end of the day, I was more focused on, in the present time, making a statement for myself and my team. And I believe we did that this year.
Well, you guys won the most regular season wins for Miami since 2017, and if you win the bowl game, it will be the first 11-win season for Miami since 2003. So that's a long time.
Yes, sir.
And you are the first Heisman Trophy finalist for Miami since 2002 when there was both Ken Dorsey and Willis McGahee. Did you know about any of that stuff and what you've accomplished? Has anyone told you about just like that huge gap, in Heisman finalists for Miami and now you being here, ending that drought?
Yep. I've known about it a little bit. Not really Willie, but Ken for sure. And it's a challenge that you want to take on. It's the reason why I play quarterback positions, one of the hardest positions to play in the world. So you take on challenges so you can, you can challenge yourself and, end up beating those obstacles. So you just got to be a competitor.
Yeah. You had a great year last year for Washington State, but you really jumped up to the next level this year. 4,123 passing yards, 41 total touchdowns, second nationally. How much of that is due to having different players around you, different scheme, and also just your natural growth as a quarterback, do you think?
I just think the timing and the preparation we had just made it all come together. The offenses were different from Wazoo to here. We did a little bit more better concepts, I would say, here, just down the field, the intermediate game. And I just think just the timing that, I had with the receivers, it made it work out so good. The O-line that we had is elite. They're a top 5 O-line in the country. So, they're the real reason why, everyone ended up, getting their stats while we had one of the number 1 offenses in the country this year.
Yeah.
So, everybody, we weren't a selfish group on offense. Everybody came in every week. We tried to do what we had to do to win a football game.
You showed an amazing ability to have comebacks and just ice in your veins in the fourth quarter. Was that something that you always thought you had, or you just do what just kind of happened naturally with Miami? At Miami, it seems like it was really almost happened every week. It seemed like.
We just like to make the game interesting. Don't nobody want to wake up on a Saturday and blow a team out by 50 or lose by 50.
That's boring, right?
But yeah, it's boring. We're trying to compete out here, so and any given day you can either lose or win. So you just got to be on your P's and Q's every week. So I think we did that for majority part. We didn't do it every week like we needed to, but we did win a lot of football games this year.
For sure. You got the Iowa State Cyclones up in 2 weeks. The Pop-Tart Bowl. I know your goal is to get in the playoffs, and you guys fell just short. But what are you guys doing to rebound and prepare for that big matchup?
Really just, have motivation. Motivation is our last game that we ever going to play with each other. The locker room is going to change. It's inevitable. I'm going to be out of here. Seniors are going to be out of here. Somebody's going to hit the transfer portal. So, we just got to understand that this is our last game together. We just got to go out and give it our all one more time.
Cam Ward, University of Miami, 2024 Heisman finalist. Congratulations once more. Thanks for coming on the show again, and good luck in the future.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Ron Dane, 1999 Heisman Trophy winner, and you're listening to the Heisman Trophy podcast.
Our next guest is the current head coach at Tennessee State. We've been trying to have him on the show for the last couple seasons, but we ran into him in New York and were able to get him on. We're talking about Eddie George, the 1995 Heisman Trophy winner out of Ohio State. Little fun fact, I actually did interview him about 12 years ago, back in 2012 at the Pac-10 Media Day, Pac-12 Media Day, I guess it was back then. Of course, in addition to being a fantastic player at all levels of football, Eddie is also an accomplished stage actor, so a bit of a renaissance man in the Heisman world, and we were happy to talk to him. All right, well, we were here with Eddie George, 1995 Heisman Trophy winner out of The Ohio State University. Welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Man, glad to be here. Great to be here. I love coming to New York this time of year.
Yeah. There's I think there's like a core group of Heisman guys who come here every year. Most of them are guys from the late 70s, early 80s. And, I'd like to see more guys from your era come in. Or do you think maybe you can start corralling some of these guys to start coming in?
I mean, well, Desmond will be here. He's here every year because he does the show with ESPN.
Yeah.
Of course, Toretta, unfortunately, Rashawn Salam passed away. Let's see who else. Ricky Williams could be here. We got Ron Dane.
Yeah, he's here. Werfel's
he's here. Werfel's here.
Yeah.
Who am I missing?
I guess
Woodson.
most of the guys are here from the 90s.
Yeah, Charles isn't here. Let me see. For Danny 3 was Charlie Ward.
Yeah. Charlie's usually here. I don't think he's here this year, though.
It's 93, 92 is who?
Toretta's 92. 91 was Desmond.
Desmond, and 90
was Ty.
So Ty's got to hear.
So I withdraw the question. You guys are doing pretty well.
Doing all right.
So for those Heisman fans out there who don't know, you are in your you just finished your fourth season.
Season, yes.
Tennessee Tech.
Tennessee State.
Oh, Tennessee State. Was it Tech before?
No, Tennessee Tech is a rival.
Oh,
Tennessee Tech. No, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. I know you guys don't pay attention to FCS, but it's okay. It's
cardinal
okay.
sin.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It happens. So Tennessee Tech is our rival. Tennessee State, an HBCU in Nashville, Tennessee, has since 1912 has had their program, a very rich program in terms of football. A lot of history there in terms of the men that they produced in the NFL. Two NFL Hall of Famers, a slew of national titles, great Hall of Fame coaching. I mean, just a wealth of greatness in terms of just the athletic side. That's just football. You're talking about, track and field and so forth. So it's those stories that I love for people to be reminded of in terms of what has turned out. And now me being the head coach for Tennessee State for the last 4 years has been remarkable. And it's been my goal to bring that school's greatness back to prominence and through sustainability. And I think we had a breakthrough this season.
Awesome.
I know we had a breakthrough this season by having co-champions in the OVC.
Yeah, that's congratulations for that.
Thank you.
One of the perennial kind of questions is, when you're a great player and you become a coach, you don't see many great players who do well as coaches. But what are the challenges? Like, because for being a coach, when you have a standard for yourself that you set, and then you have to apply that to other people and have the level of patience and all that kind of thing.
That's what it is. It's patience.
Yeah.
It's diligence. It's perseverance. It's grit. You have to love and be addicted to the grind. And the grind is not a bad thing. It's just a process. And you don't worry about the end result. You just focus on the habits that create the desired results that you want. So I can't speak for other players that have played the game, but it's a calling. I mean, it took some time for me to develop to become a coach and the idea of being a coach in the football sense, but also understanding that I've always been a coach, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now it's just dedicating my time and devoting my time and energy into that on a consistent basis. And it's really creating a culture, an environment, and a lifestyle inside of a building that's true, tried and true, and being committed to that consistently.
Right.
And as people buy into it, they see the benefits of it, and that was the breakthrough. And now you're seeing the results on the field. What people see on Saturdays and Sundays when teams are winning is the endless hours that go into it in the off season, summer, spring, and fall, bringing in the right people, the constant messaging, and also leaders living it and breathing it themselves, not just talking about it. It is a living, breathing organism that you have to nurture like a child, like a baby, and it does not stop. The moment that you stop paying attention to it, the moment that it gets stale, it atrophies, and you have to rebuild it, and you've lost the momentum that you've created.
Yeah. If you're looking at a player and you want to recruit a player, what's your pitch to a player coming to Tennessee State?
I don't have a pitch. I don't have a pitch. I don't have a set of notes that I talk about. Yeah, I'll hit bullet points in terms of location and the benefits of coming to play at Tennessee State. I stay away from that. I think it comes across as not truthful and not authentic.
Yeah.
I like to have conversation. I like to engage in a real meaningful conversation in terms of what is it that the player wants, and I'm interviewing them like they're interviewing me to make sure you're the right fit.
Right.
And that's how I approach it. It's very organic. I try to create connection, and I try to build a real relationship where there's transparency, there's intimacy there in terms of me really getting to know you and you really getting to know me. So there's a real partnership.
Yeah.
And through that, there's trust built, and then you're really creating a real relationship, and there's a real understanding of here are the terms.
Yeah.
Here are my expectations, and I can help you accomplish your goals and your dreams by following this process.
Right.
And at any point where we're not in harmony with that, then there's a disconnect and it's time to go our separate ways. So, I mean, I find that those sales pitches are disingenuous and it's not real. And it's just it's a transactional deal for me. So I really try to connect on the spiritual and human level.
Great. You have 4 seasons now, and it's been concurrent with the most radical changes in college football and years and years and years and years and years. So, and it's funny, you have some coaches that in 2018, 2019 were very successful, and now we're almost in a different sport now. Yep. And maybe some coaches who maybe signed up for this profession with the understanding that it would be like, I'm going to recruit players, come up with schemes, manage my, do all the things you do as a coach. And now flip to 6 years later or whatever. And we're seeing it every year more and more. Transfer portal, NIL, conferences have realigned, the regionalism that used to kind of help your team because it was like the local team, and it's all changed. And but you kind of started about right when that started. So maybe I guess maybe is it a benefit not to have had that previous experience of being used to the old way?
I think there could be some benefits there. It's changing. I know for the better. I think there's a lot more that needs to be done in terms of regulation and rules applied when it comes to the NIL era and compensating our players. Much needed. It's got caught up with the times. I mean, it's a big business.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing is a NFL model in college sports, and it has to be structured that way because of where we are. I mean, the days of being a college recruiter and just recruiting the talent are long gone. It's roster management now. It's an NFL GM philosophy that you have to embrace, like in terms of salary cap, in terms of NIL, in terms of structuring deals that are incentivized. Where it puts accountability on the player as well as the coaching staff and so forth. So that's where we're headed. And that's what I've learned. And I haven't been through it as a player. Certainly now as a head coach, it's changed every year. It feels like, I have to re-recruit my own class.
Yeah.
I have
insane.
I have a phenomenal a couple of great players that were freshmen for me last year that are exploring different opportunities. And so in essence, I am developing players for FBS programs, and I'm gonna hold that true. Like, okay, this is what you want. I get it, and let me prepare you for that. So it's a different day and age, and you have to embrace that. So the old way of doing things, some coaches you don't want to deal with it, and rightfully so. But this is where we're moving toward. It's not going to change. They're going to expand the playoff system, so that means more games, more dollars, and more players, looking for bigger and better opportunities. So it's up to us to figure out, hey, what are those points of engagement? How do we engage these kids? What are their interests? Because now it's no longer about playing for a program that you want to help build and win championships.
Right.
It's a wide open free agent market about what I can get. And that's the problem. It's greed sometimes.
Sure.
Some kids are leaving.
It's a big bubble, right?
I'm like, I see a kid at Alabama leaving in the portal going to where? Like, I'm thinking, man.
You've already made it.
You made it. Like, where are you going to go?
Well, there's guys going to Ohio State. They're kind of swapping, they're going to
they're swapping for a couple $100,000 here or there. And I'm like, I guess I get it. But, at some point, you got to plant your feet down. You got to grind. And there's a bigger play at stake here. Like, so I'm just trying to wrap my arms around it, embrace it as best I can. But at some point, the powers that be have to put structure around this, and there has to be a cap on what certain people can do. I mean, there's great parity to our game. You look at the matchups are phenomenal for this first round of playoffs.
Sure. Yeah.
Typically, you don't see these things, in during this time of year where you're a home team. You got a team that can host a game against a brand that you haven't played in years, like Ohio State, Tennessee. That's
exciting.
The second time in the history of college football that these two teams are going to play.
Yeah.
And the first time a game will be played in Ohio Stadium ever in December. So that's remarkable. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah, and also there's like the fan bases are still the same, but the fan bases are thinking, well, we have NIL now, so coach should be able to get get a players in and win right away because they can get whoever they want.
Well, listen,
so it's unrealistic, right?
I mean, the expectations are you buy the best team,
Right.
but you still have to develop the chemistry.
And you don't, because you don't know if the guy
You don't
you're
know.
getting from other schools is actually going to work out. For you.
Right. I mean, the portal is good in some senses, but some there are guys that are in there that are just be recycling and they don't have the talent or the grit or the willingness to go through the hard stuff.
Yeah.
That's the part. There's still room to develop high school kids in this day and age. And that's the unfortunate part about it, is that high schoolers, really good players, are being lost in the shuffle.
Right.
And I'm seeing it because they're coming to me.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, come on, let me develop you and move on. But that's the part of it that's being missed.
Especially in the lines, right? Because if you're a left tackle, you're a freshman
Right.
left tackle, and your fans are like, oh, we need to build the line, bring in a senior, fifth year senior from the portal. But meanwhile, so he's playing while your left tackle, who maybe not a freshman, maybe he's a redshirt sophomore.
Right.
He could have been starting that year and going through the bumps and bruises that
Right,
everyone has
right.
to do. But now someone's playing ahead of him, and he might just leave now because he's not going to get a chance to play that year or whatever.
Right. And you're seeing a lot of those kids falter to the lower programs to get tape, to get experience,
Right.
and then trying to go back up. And,
Right.
and it's wild.
Yeah.
And to think that our fan base is okay. You again, you look at Florida State. I think they spent a great deal of money on their roster, and you saw what happened there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it does not work sometimes, and sometimes it does. I think you have to strike the balance between the two.
Yeah.
But you still have to do the hard work and develop
For sure.
kids, and that's where I get my joy. I love to develop, as I've been developed, and I know the blueprint of that.
Right. Well, let's talk a little Heisman.
Uh-huh.
1995. You were here with, I think, Tommy Frazier. Danny Werfel was here as well. I think Troy Davis might have been the fourth.
Troy Davis, Darnell Autry from
Darnell Autry,
yes,
that's
from
right, because they had that
Northwestern.
great year.
Yep.
What do you remember about your time up here? It was actually you won somewhat comfortably, but there was a pretty good field. I think that was a really good finalist field.
That was
year.
excellent.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tommy could have just as easily won it.
You had three.
The top three were incredible, I'd say.
Three Heisman winners in
Yeah.
the room. I mean, you can say that because Danny Werfel won it the next year,
Right.
And Tommy, me or Tommy,
Might as well have.
could have done it. So Tommy's a college football Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So in the year and what he meant to college football was huge. So to have edged him out for it is really speaks to the quality of the candidates that year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I remember. I mean, Nebraska was the top dog of that time, of that era. And we came along, and I headed up Ohio State, and certainly Danny was doing his thing, and Northwestern had their run. Went on to play in the Rose Bowl. Troy Davis at that time, back-to-back 2,000 yards a year, which was unheard of.
Yeah.
So it was tremendous talent in that era. It was a lot of competition.
Yeah.
But I never looked at it as me versus the field. It was more of a team award than anything else, because you have to have a great defense in order for me to get opportunities to run the ball. And I have to have a great offensive line that opens up holes. I have to have a quarterback that can make the necessary throws to stretch the field to keep balance.
Sure.
So it speaks to the team and the era that I played with, and I represent that.
You guys were loaded.
Oh yeah,
team.
we had some dudes
Was
now.
it Dudley?
Dudley was a tight end.
and
Orlando was our tackle.
and,
Nicky Sualua was our fullback. Bobby Hoying, our quarterback. The great late Terry Glenn was our wide receiver, who won the Blitnikoff that year. Defensively, Sean Springs, who was All-American. Mike Vrabel, Luke Fickle.
Mm-hmm.
We had Antoine Winfield. He was a baby at that time. He was a freshman. So we had some players on that team.
I remember it was, I think, the Notre Dame game that I think really was your coming out party that year. You had a good year the year before. You had like 1,400 yards, but you were coming from, was that you had come from Mount Union or Fork
Union?
Fork
Yes.
Union.
Military
and
Academy.
Military Academy. I think the only other, Gino, not Gino, but Vinny
Testaverde, yep.
also went there. And I think you had a sophomore year at Ohio State, and then you kind of played a little bit, and then junior year you broke out, right? Was that
Well, my freshman year came in, played some. I was a goal line running back, had success, fumbled twice against Illinois, and then kind of faded to the background on that. And they played some upperclassmen that also played in the NFL. Raymond Harris, Butler Benote, Jeff Cothran, and played backup role to them. My sophomore year, played sparingly, and then it came to me. I was the next guy in line, and I was able to put together a good junior year, which got me some notoriety. I was second team All Big Ten, but I was on nobody's Heisman watch list going into my senior year.
And you were like the really first of the really big modern backs, I think. And you look at Derrick Henry now, right? Yeah. And it's just you're like 6'3", 6'4", like in that range, and he's in that range. Do you look at him as a kindred spirit as a running back?
Well, he played with the Titans too.
Yeah,
so,
good point,
he was hot on my heels for. I think he does have the record for touchdowns now, which I held for some time. But Derrick, of course, we're both bigger backs. There are similarities there. Derrick, I mean, he is a big back that can hit the home run from anywhere on the field. I think he has, if I'm not mistaken, probably 5 or 6 runs over 80 yards in the NFL, I think, which is a record.
Which you wouldn't think he'd be the guy to do that.
Right.
Right.
But it speaks to his speed and power. And, for us, we impose our will because of our size. So you're left with some business decisions when you see us in between the tackles. Right. And have the ability to say, okay, a back can say, or defensive back can say, okay, I'm going to let him run by me and I'll catch it. No, you're not catching him.
Yeah.
I mean, I had good speed, but he has world-class speed, and that's the difference.
It's kind of funny that coming out of high school, they weren't sure if he was a running back or not.
I know. I get it. Defensive end, tight end, a fullback, linebacker. Now, he had to fight the same things, but, it's something about toting the rock, man, that's in your spirit.
Yeah.
And you think about Derrick. He has accumulated from high school, college, and now professionally.
Ridiculous.
I want to say almost 30,000 yards or something crazy like that.
Yeah, he was the all-time leader rusher out of Yulee. And
10 grand.
Yeah.
And then in college, I think he has something ridiculous like 5,000 or something. I don't know what the numbers are.
Somewhere around there. I think he had because he didn't really play full time. They used to platoon a little bit, and then that last year he had,
and then of course now he's over the 10,000 yard mark in the NFL and counting.
Crazy.
And it's like, how is this? This dude is on a different level in terms of recovery.
Right. I mean,
just the longevity.
You're taking a beating, right?
Oh, like this is crazy. Yeah. But kudos to him, and I've gotten to. In fact, Derrick won the award 20 years after I did, 2015. And we've had a great relationship. When he came down to Tennessee, he had a stint there and was the face of the franchise. And we've had various talks, and I really have enjoyed watching him grow and mature. Yeah. And he's just a good dude, man. He in fact, he reached out a couple times when I got the head coaching job. Said, "Yo, that is awesome, man. That is amazing." He's a cool dude. He's a cool dude. He's like a big kid. I love him, man. I can't wait till he comes back to the Heisman, back in the fold, and come bring some added value to it, because he's huge for us.
For sure. It's the 90th anniversary of the Heisman Trophy. These 4 finalists: Travis Hunter, Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, Ashton Jeanty. Of course, Jeanty, great running back. What do you think about him as a runner?
I think he's great. He has great balance, vision, tenacity, run after contact. Again, you can bottle him up for 3 quarters and then he'll bust one for 80 yards and just lean on the defense. The thing that I love about him is he's going to be an outstanding professional because he's hungry for more. Some guys will, be happy with the year that they've had and kind of love the lifestyle that comes along with being a professional athlete or a superstar. Yeah. But this kid is asking questions on, hey, I want to wear a gold jacket one day, and what does it take? And I don't have one yet, but it's just his heart and his mindset is for that. So when I watch him run, I'm like, he reminds me close to what Barry Sanders
Right. Oh, yeah, very much like a Barry Sanders type. Yeah.
There's only one Barry.
Right.
Doesn't
quite have the slinky ability to.
But yeah, his no one does.
Right.
Barry is a cat,
right,
with explosiveness. I mean, he has that same kind of build, and almost put up the same numbers as Barry. And when you think about Barry's season, 12 games and still 26 and 30, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But to be in the same conversation with Barry, he's well deserving of the award than anything else. So it's some really, really intriguing candidates this year. And, of course, with Travis Hunter, what he's been able to do, win Defensive Player in the Big 12 as a corner, but also win the Biletnikoff, a national award for wide receiver, is completely unheard of. That's never been done.
Do people understand the difficulty? I mean, people don't really get it, do they? Like the having to backpedal and run like don't most people's bodies just protest to that kind of stress?
I can't answer that question. I've never done it. Had to play. I mean, in high school, but he's doing it at a tremendously high level.
Yeah.
And you got to. I mean, I remember when we played against Jackson State, Tennessee State, when he was a freshman. And we were looking at the film like, okay, we hope he doesn't play,
right?
Because
he was hurt. I think
he was hurt, and he plays at a different level. His athleticism, he can bait you into making a throw that you think he's not going to be there, and he's there and picking it off, and he's dangerous after the catch.
Yeah, he's great at sliding around bodies to do things.
Oh my gosh! I mean, his catch radius is ridiculous, and he's just a freak athlete.
Yeah,
and you look at his numbers. As a receiver, over 1,000 yards receiving. We see what he's a playmaker on. He impacts how an offense can attack him, because if you throw his way, it's going to be a problem. So he takes away half the field. He is a good tackler in space, because I said, okay, he's got a slender body. Let's go test that man. Let's see if he can hit somebody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he can hit. Okay, X. So he's the complete player, and his demeanor, he's very confident, humble, well coached. He's a smart, savvy, has a high football IQ because he's being coached by Prime. So man, he's the real deal.
Yeah,
he's the real deal.
I meant to ask you. Actually, I did ask you offline about your acting career. You did some theater.
Yep,
which is great. It's great seeing people who want to branch out away from get you could easily rest on your laurels and do all that stuff, but you challenge yourself and you do something out of your comfort zone. What was the genesis of that whole process?
Oh, after I retired, and in short, I was getting inquired about acting gigs, and I just wanted to be better on television and to be able to tell stories and so forth. And I said, what better way than to start where it all begins, in theater, live theater.
Right.
Studied for a long time. I would say 8-9 years.
Wow.
This is not just something that, a celebrity jumping on stage. I did Chicago just 2 streets over
for sure
for 8-week run in 2016.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I was doing, I was acting in the Nashville community with the repertory theater, doing plays like Julius Caesar and Othello and Raisin in the Sun, Top Dog, Underdog, just really immersed in that world and wanted to respect the world of acting.
But it's kind of like, it's probably a glib thing to say, but acting's a little bit like football. You got to hit your marks. You got to be lined up.
It's everything.
Spot,
Teamwork. The play only works if everybody's on the same page. You're doing your role, no matter big or small. If you have 2 lines or no lines, you have to be present in the moment for the other actors. Same thing holds true. You might, as a football player, you might have one play on special teams, and it is a block.
Yeah,
staying on your block or getting off your block or doing submarine on kickoff on a punt returner to get the ball, and it's so insignificant but significant at the same time. Whereas on stage you may have to not have any words, but stay engaged with the other actor and giving them something to play off of.
Yeah,
there's nothing more distracting and discouraging when another actor is just waiting for their lines to be said.
Right.
The art of acting is listening and responding and being truthful and honest and vulnerable in imaginary circumstances.
Yeah.
And I bring that to coaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the very same things that I've done on stage, I'm for my players. I'm being truthful in those moments. And that's what I've had to learn is how do you communicate that on a consistent basis? And sometimes it's not by words, it's by action.
Right.
You know, it's by invoking an energy and a sense of urgency just by how I respond, how I'm moving in practice, how engaged and locked in I have to be and focused you have to be. So all of those things that I've learned over the years and been through with acting and business and football has helped me to become a coach to where I am now.
Well, Eddie George, 1995
Yes,
Heisman
sir.
Trophy winner out of Ohio State. Appreciate you coming on the show. Finally glad that we were able
Yes.
to run into each other and get it done.
I'm glad we made this happen.
Really appreciate it,
Yes, sir.
and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
God bless you. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
This is Archie Griffin, 1974, 1975's Heisman Trophy winner, and you're listening to the official Heisman podcast.
The Heisman Diasimos symbolizes the artistry and precision with which these athletes perform on the field. Made from premium components and handcrafted by master artisans, this timepiece celebrates the creativity and athleticism each finalist has demonstrated on the gridiron. The many people who helped each athlete achieve their success are represented by the repeating pattern on the dial. Axiatime is proud to celebrate the 2024 Heisman finalists with a timepiece that tells more than time. Okay, we are here with Axiatime founder John Canaris. Welcome to the official Heisman Trophy podcast.
Thank you, Chris. Great to be here with you.
The Heisman Diasimos is a watch that you created in a partnership with the Heisman Trophy. Tell me about this exciting partnership and all about the watch. And I'm going to ask you about how Heisman weekend went after that.
Sure. Yeah. So really excited about this partnership. It's really a dream come true to be able to make an ultra custom timepiece to commemorate such a special moment in time for these athletes. I mean, what bigger stage than the Heisman Trophy for an athlete to be a finalist for the Heisman Trophy? And so the brand is all about commemorating life's big moments and big achievements. And so when we met with Rob Whelan and the team at the Heisman Trophy Trust to talk about creating a timepiece to commemorate, these athletes and the honorees, what we agreed to was to create something, really special, an heirloom quality timepiece that would honor the Heisman tradition and that the athletes could keep to cherish the moments and memories.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous watch. On Friday night, before the Heisman ceremony, there was a presentation of 4 watches for the 4 Heisman finalists. Tell me about that whole experience and what it was like presenting those great watches to the 4 finalists.
Yeah, it was really an exciting opportunity for us and for the brand, almost a coming out, so to speak. We're not a very well-known brand yet. The concept is still kind of new, and the brand is only a few years old. And so we had an opportunity in front of the press corps to present the watches, introduce, both the company and the watches to the press corps, and then distribute the watches to the athletes, and to see the smiles on their faces. And, we captured some of this on video, and it was, going back and looking at the video, it was really heartwarming and rewarding to see their genuine reaction, of thrill at the quality of the timepiece, at the design. And got a chance to talk to each athlete a little bit. They seem to really like it. I think this is a special time in their lives, and I think as they get distance from it, it'll probably be even that much more special.
Yeah, I can confirm in talking to the finalists on Saturday morning, I asked them about the watch, and it seemed like they really took to heart your speech at the presentation, where you mentioned about this being a potential heirloom, something to pass on to their kids. I think that really inspired them. Tell me a little bit about just the style of the watch, the design of the watch for those out there who are into watches. What makes this watch so good?
Yes, so we use really premium components. So for the watch geeks out in the audience who might be listening, it's a titanium 5 case, which is a premium metal, super durable, super light. But we had it plated in a bronze color as to honor, the Heisman Trophy itself. And so we wanted to honor the Heisman tradition, and so we layered in a lot of symbolism in the design elements, real deliberate design elements. So the Roman numerals, are, classic kind of nod to the classic heritage of Heisman. The movement on the back is a premium movement, a Salida SW300, so it's a real upscale movement. We have an exhibition back case, which means you can see the movement itself, and the movement, the precision of that mechanism symbolizes the precision with which the athletes compete on the field. We layered in very specific elements around the Heisman logo and word mark on the crown, on the rotor. We engraved the athletes' names on the back and the year, so that they'll have this to remember and hand down to the next generation. And then one of the other elements that a colleague noticed, and admittedly I didn't notice it initially, but it was a brilliant observation. The alligator strap, the square scaled alligator strap, really is a nod to the helmets of old, the leather helmets of old. So, kind of crafting a design that both honors the Heisman tradition, but brings it to the modern era with modern components and a classic design. To me, the most meaningful, though, of all of the design elements was the repeating pattern on the dial. It's a silhouette of a football, and it's intended to represent all of the people behind the scenes who help the athlete achieve their level of success. So parents, coaches, teammates, and many more.
Wow, that sounds super cool and super meaningful. Now, I understand that you also have some other great college football related partnerships, including with the College Football Playoff, and you're also putting together some school themed watches. Can you tell me a little bit about those projects?
Yeah, so with College Football Playoff, we have a couple layers to the partnership. One is making an heirloom quality watch for all the athletes competing in the playoff, and so that's available to the athletes in the gift suite that they have prior to each bowl game or each round of the playoff. It's a gorgeous watch that we worked on in collaboration with CFP, and then we have a series of designs for the fans. So for each each of the 12 teams competing in the playoff, we have two design options for each of the fan bases, but they're limited edition, limited to only 100 of each. And then in parallel with that, we're licensed with a number of universities, both in and outside of CFP, where we're making custom designs for those universities to honor people's affiliation with their alma mater, graduation gifts, things like that. So again, the brand is all about commemorating life's big moments, and graduating from a university is a big moment in someone's life, and so we've got heirloom quality timepieces to honor all those occasions.
Yeah, I've heard lots of chatter from people who go to various schools saying how excited they'd be to have this kind of watch with their school's brand on it. Is this something eventually you envision there being pretty much most of the major schools' fan bases having access to?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And you wouldn't know it looking at our website, but we're already licensed with over 50 universities. It's just that, with the growth that we're experiencing with CFP and Heisman, we just don't have time to catch up and get all those designs up. But by the spring, I suspect we'll have all those designs up, and we'll continue to add more and more universities. The concept has really, I think, resonated with many people. It's a high quality, heirloom quality timepiece with a real subtle and elegant design, very different from the typical souvenir watch you might find in a college bookstore. So for people who are, discerning and want a really nice timepiece, I think this matches the aesthetic and quality they might be looking for.
Yeah. And of course, I understand that this whole concept for you started out, the origin story for it came about from your experience as a college athlete, which I think is a great story. And for those of you who haven't been college athletes, it's something that happens all too often. So let's hear that story about how you got inspired about this.
Sure. So I was a college athlete a long time ago. I played lacrosse at the University of Pennsylvania, and my senior year, we won the Ivy League championship, and we went to the Final Four. It was a real special time in my life, and the university gave us a timepiece to commemorate that season. And I still have the timepiece. I've got a very tortured relationship with the timepiece because I love it for what it represents, but I don't like it so much because of the styling and quality. And, I became a kind of a watch enthusiast after graduating from university. And because the styling and quality of that watch didn't match what I was looking for, I started to seek out a really high quality, stylish watch to commemorate that season. And after 30 years of looking and not finding, what I wanted, I decided to do it myself. It kind of became my midlife crisis, and so I started making watches, high quality watches for big events, and mainly in the lacrosse space, given my network and heritage, championship teams, and the like. And what started as a passion project blossomed into a growing business, and so I decided to lean in and do it full time this year.
Fantastic. Well, these are just gorgeous watches. It was a great presentation at the ceremony around the weekend. I'm sure the finalists are going to cherish this for a long time. For those of us who aren't Heisman finalists, or those of us who aren't college football playoff participants, but want to keep track of the products that come out of your company and who want to maybe get a school branded watch, what's the best way for them to do it?
So the best way to find us is at our website. It's axiatime.com, AXIA time.com. And you can see all our great designs and sign up for updates, and we'll send out alerts as we add more schools.
Great. And Axia, as maybe not many of you know out there, is Greek. Go ahead and tell our audience what it means in Greek.
So we try and give a lot of watch for the money. So Axia means worth or value. So we want to give a good value, both in terms of the quality and styling, but the cost and the experience.
Well, great. Well, John Canaris of Axia Time, thanks for coming on the official Heisman Trophy podcast. Congratulations on your partnership with the Heisman Trophy Trust. These are fantastic timepieces for anyone who wants to commemorate life's special moments.
Terrific. Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate you having us on.
So talking to John got me curious about the topic of timepieces and watches, so I brought in a subject matter expert, not typically known for watches, Jonathan V. Last, the editor at The Bulwark. Here's what he had to say. All right, well, we're very pleased to be here with Jonathan V. Last, editor of The Bulwark, watch aficionado. Any chance we have to talk to someone who is this much into watches for this kind of circumstance, we had to take it. So, Jonathan, thanks for coming on the official Heisman Trophy podcast.
Thanks for having me. And what a beautiful watch you guys have come up with.
Yeah, I was really curious about, we found out that, I found out that we have an official watch now, and we just talked to in the earlier segment with the owner of the watch company, John Canaris, and he has a very interesting story. He used to be a lacrosse player, and when he got to the finals of the lacrosse championships for the University of Pennsylvania, and the only thing they gave him was a crappy watch to remember it by. And he says, we need more to remember things by than that. And actually, I was curious, was there a first watch for you that sort of got you into watches?
I've been a watch guy since I was third grade. I think I got my first watch in third grade, and my whole life I've just felt a little naked without one on the wrist. Mm-hmm. And even once we moved into the world of cell phones and stuff, I always wanted watches. And once I didn't start buying real watches, like I was buying like Casios and Timex Ironmans, which are great for what they are. That's what I wore as a kid.
The old Casios, yeah, love them.
Yeah. I wore them all the way through like age 27, and
was that with the calculator on it at all? Or?
Some of them have the calculator, yeah. And those things are honestly in the watch community, as I talk about my fellow nerds, those things are revered. Nobody looks down on those things because they're great for what they are. But I bought my first automatic watch when I was about 30, and an automatic watch is a watch which basically uses 200-year-old technology to power it. It's just physics. There's a rotor and a spring, and the power, just the fact of moving your wrist throughout the day and moving your arm, it winds itself basically. And there's something romantic about it because these things are less accurate than your $5 Casio. Mm-hmm. They're accurate to normally within anywhere from 2 seconds a day to like 20 or 40 seconds a day. Mm-hmm. But there is something about having a living piece of metal, which has an actual beating heart on it, that is not dependent upon technology or anything like that with you. And over the course of my life, having watches that are tied to things and moments and people, I think most watch guys, if you talk to them, they'll tell you that is the biggest part of it. It isn't about getting the most expensive watch. It isn't about getting the rarest watch. I mean, for some people that might be it. But for most of the people who love watches, it is about having a tangible physical connection. And a lot of it is also about having things to pass on to your kids. So, like I have a bunch of watches that my kids see me wearing every day. And someday when I'm gone, they'll have these things. They'll be able to put onto their wrist a thing that they remember dad wearing all the time. And there's just something special about that. And that's why I think these watches that you guys have come up with are so great, because these guys will have them for their whole lives. They'll give them to their, they'll give them to one of their kids someday. The favorite kid will get the Heisman watch. They won't get enough of them for all of their kids.
Yeah. It's funny. I talked to one of the finalists later, and I asked him about it, and he's like, I don't think I'm going to wear it. I just want to put it up on the mantle. I think they're when you have a watch with that meaning, I was always wondered about that. Do you worry about damaging it? You're jostling around in New York, going through the subway, and you scrape your wrist on the railing. I always worry about that kind of thing.
Yeah. So different people have different views on this. My own personal view is that I never want to own a watch that I'm afraid to wear. And that's why for me, like, there's a dollar value above which I simply couldn't own that watch. Not because I couldn't afford it. I mean, of course I couldn't afford it, but because I wouldn't be able to wear it without being worried. But the way I freed myself of this, and this is a thing that like everybody makes in their, I'm going to say that pretentious phrase, but in their watch journey, Chris, everybody feels a little bit funny at first, because like, oh, this thing costs so much money, right? And whether you're talking about $75 or $500 or $5,000, like, it's a lot of money. It's more money than you need to spend to tell the time.
Yeah.
But the way I think of it is, this watch is mine. And the things that accumulate on it, the scrapes, the scratches, those are what make it mine.
Good point.
Because I've had those as I've worn it through the world. And that's what makes mine unique and different from anybody else who has this same model watch, is that theirs will be different, right? It's like a fingerprint or getting a scar on your knee or something like that. And that's how I free myself. That's how I encourage people to look at watches. Yeah. Don't look at it like it is a prize piece of art or like a baseball card that's in perfect grade that you never want to touch or something like that. Look at it as a living thing that exists with you, that's yours. And so it should have all the scrapes and dings and scratches on it that you get through life. And none of that is bad. It's all good, in fact.
There are many watches, but this one is mine, right?
Yeah.
I've heard that the Apple Watch was sort of a impetus for revival in watch culture, ironically, because it's people weren't wearing a lot of watches, and then they got the Apple Watch and they got used to wearing something on the wrist. And then it was like, well, if we're going to have something on the wrist, we should make it look a little less, just purely functional and just something a little more interesting and attractive. Just looking at this watch, what sticks out to you just from a visual standpoint?
I mean, the first thing that jumps out at me on the Heisman watch is that the color scheme, which is bronze and black, which is going to instantly connect you to the Heisman. Like, that's what the Heisman Trophy is, right? When you close your eyes and picture it for a minute, you will picture the amorphous glob of the trophy, right? But those colors that you're seeing in your mind's eye are all bronzes and blacks. And that's what this thing has. And then it's got this very classic Roman numerals around the, on the dial. It's kind of a nice textured dial. It's a little bit of a, not quite a waffle pattern, but it's got a texture to it. And that contrasts with the textures on the outer ring of the dial where the numerals sit. And then it's got on the bezel, it's got what's called a coin edge around the bezel. And it's all it's very understated, and it's very evocative of the Heisman Trophy itself, which is the whole point of it, right? The point is to connect this watch to this moment in time that these, what are these kids, like 20 years old, 21 years old,
21,
right?
22, 23.
Yeah. This thing that they did in their youth, these kids have 60 years of life in front of them, right? They're going to do so many other things, and almost none of it will be related to football, right? They'll play professional football for a few years, maybe 10 years or something like that. But even if they are Hall of Fame level players, they're going to spend way more of their life out of football than in football. And this watch will just be a memento that not only ties them temporally to it because they got it at the thing, but it looks of it and evocative of it. And when I think of these guys passing this watch down to one of their kids someday, it almost makes me teary.
Yeah.
Because these 80 years from now, there's going to be some 30 or 35-year-old kid who this watch is left to by their dad. And they wear, thinking about their dad and their dad's life and having watched their dad wear this watch. It's just it's a beautiful thing.
Well, like you said before we got on, we could talk about this for a long time, but I know you're a busy guy. Really enjoyed catching up with you on watches and learning a lot about watches, and appreciate you coming on the show and letting our audience know about watches.
Chris, thanks for having me, and thanks for doing such a nice thing for these kids.
Thank you, Jonathan. The last of the Bulwark. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you around.
Hi, this is Billy Sims, 1978 Heisman Trophy winner. You are listening to the official Heisman Trophy podcast. Boomer!
And on that rather boisterous note, it's time to bring this pod to a close. This is the final pod of the season for us. It's been an excellent second season. We appreciate everyone who helped us get it done. Thanks to all the players, all the coaches, all the media people, all the sports information directors. Thanks to the Heisman Trust for making it possible. Thanks to Rob Whalen and Tim Henning. It's just been a great season. Congratulations to Travis Hunter for winning the Heisman Trophy. Congratulations to all the finalists. And just a reminder that with college football going crazy with NIL and transfer portal and conference realignment, all this craziness, the Heisman Trophy remains a bulwark, if you will, against the ravages of the modern football era. So for those of you who still appreciate the traditions of college football and the Heisman Trophy, we appreciate you listening. Don't forget to like us, follow us, review us, tell your friends and family. And on behalf of the Heisman Trophy Trust, I'd like to wish everyone out there a very blessed holiday season. So long, everyone. The official Heisman Trophy podcast streams every Wednesday during the college football season and is hosted, co-produced, edited, and engineered by Chris Houston. Paul Goldberg is the executive producer and editor. Special shout out to Isaac Lowenkron, and big thanks to the Heisman Trophy Trust and its executive director Rob Whalen and associate director Tim Henning. The official Heisman Trophy podcast can be found on Spotify, Apple Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find clips of our show on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Just go to @Heisman Trophy.